Oh my gosh, you're here!
Welcome to My Chatbot Life, where chatbot marketers share high converting strategies in this new conversational marketplace. Each week, MKJ introduces you to bot builders who are just like you, a little techie, a little markety, and a whole lot of geeky. Buckle up as Chatbot Mom enjoys another journey into My Chatbot Life.
Hello there, my Chatbot lifers. You know who I am, and I can't wait to introduce you to my next guest. Now, she and I have been going back and forth a few times in this wonderful Chatbot life of ours, but we've been able to meet at a couple of conferences where we've been speaking together, or not together, but we've been on stage at different times, but giving incredible value to this bot audience, and my guest definitely does that. So I can't wait to introduce you to, and I'm sure you already know her. If you're anywhere in the ManyChat community, you know Mackensie Lieberman. Yes, she is the CEO of Orca Marketology. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. And I can't wait to meet her again while she's speaking at Conversations Conference again this year in 2019. But really, we talk in this particular episode about lots of the changes that are happening in Facebook and that had been happening in Facebook and how they're affecting all of us, and really what she's been doing in this chatbot life of hers and what she did before then. So hang on, buckle into the rocket ship, because when the two of us get to chatting, we kind of go a bit fast. So hang on, here we go. All right. So hello there, everybody. You know who I am, but the other person that you are going to hear in a moment is someone very strong in the chatbot community. Love her to death. Love her blue hair, definitely. So if you know who I'm talking about, you know I'm talking about Mackensie Lieberman. Hello there, dear.
Hello. Well, I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you for having me.
God. Oh, I'm so happy that we could get together. I know this show is a little bit different. We don't talk about all the tech and what you should do or shouldn't do, the latest this and that, but definitely our previous conversation before we hit the record button, we need to bring a little bit in on that, because Facebook's always changing stuff. So I know you're on the cutting edge of that. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to know a little bit more about you before you started with bots. So right immediately before you got into chatbots and messenger marketing, what was your job? What were you doing for a living?
Yeah, so I'm definitely not the typical marketer, with a business degree or experience in business. Before this whole crazy thing started, I was a clinically certified cytogeneticist, which was analyzing chromosomes underneath a microscope. And I did that for about 11 years. And I've been in the healthcare industry for about 14 before that. And I thought that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I got my biology degree. I was like, yay, I'm in a medical lab. I'm doing a job that, requires a degree, and it was paying pretty decent. It's like $30-some an hour. But it was also taking me from my family. I was having to work weekends due to differing schedules with my husband. So he would work Monday through Thursday, and I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4/10s. And it just started to wear down on our relationship and my family, just because, wintertime's not so bad, but in the summertime when family wants to go to the lake on the weekend and I'm stuck at work, that was not fun. So I was getting really kind of sick of that. Plus, I couldn't have my blue hair. It was against policy, which is ridiculous because I was in a medical lab, not seeing anybody except.
It was against policy to dye your hair whatever color you wanted? Are you kidding me?
It was so ridiculous. It was company-wide policy, and they didn't, carve out saying, oh, but those of you stuck in the lab with no windows.
It doesn't matter who sees you.
Right? Exactly.
Wait a minute, though. You might offend a colleague.
Possibly. Yeah, right?
Yeah. Can't have that.
Yeah, they definitely do not want that. And that was the other thing. There was a bunch of just political, issues with a company that was getting too big. And the other thing was, perfect timing for me getting into bots was they started laying off people because a larger lab purchased this little lab that was local. So a national lab bought it. And so they started talking about layoffs. And it was about that time that I had a few clients. I was actually starting to make 5 figures a month. And I really didn't need that job, but I was still hanging on to it just because I'd reduced my hours. I was actually only working 1 day a week before I quit. But I was just hanging on to it because it's just in case, having a family. If it was just myself, I would have burned that bridge a long time ago. But having a family and I was just making sure that my agency was doing well enough that I could easily walk away without that income. So when everybody else in the lab was freaking out about layoffs, hearing about layoffs, or hearing secrets about it, or hearing about it, but then others say, no, it's not going to happen. And then when the hammer hit and dropped and actually people were getting laid off, I was one of the only people who was like, okay, I don't care. So it was nice, and I like to tell people that, yeah, a job is secure only as long as your employer tells you to come to work, right? Yeah. Whereas if you have your own business, you're your own employer, you get to have a lot more freedoms. Yes, sometimes it takes a lot more work, but that freedom and the ability to go in the direction of where you want to go with your business is totally up to you, and solely relying on you for the most part. So for me, that sounded way better.
Way better. And you can control it to a certain extent. Hustle when you needed to hustle, hang back and just nurture clients when you need to do that. Yeah, you have as much control as you possibly can without wondering how the the CEO of the company you're working for is spending the money, and if it's wise enough so that you're not going to get laid off, or your department's not going to get cut.
Oh my gosh, exactly. And there were some coworkers that I didn't like, and
Yep.
I've had clients that we start working together and they're like super micromanaging and just annoying. I can say, okay, bye, no more. I'm done. I'm moving on to bigger and better things. So
That's right. I've unfortunately had to fire quite a few clients in January. So my January was all of a sudden pretty thin.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
I went, okay, nope, I can't work with this one anymore. And of course, parted in a amicable way, so that they felt comfortable, and I lined them up for other opportunities to go elsewhere. But then I looked around and went, oh, well, we're getting a little thin here. Maybe I should go pad things up a bit. And luckily, within the very next month, we're back in the gold. So you have that power, you have that ability. But how did you do bots, though? I mean, to go from biology to bots. Yeah, they both start with B, dear, but that's about similarity as it ends.
Exactly. Well, there was one in between. I actually started with a Facebook ads course because I was listening to some podcasts and stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe I could, I knew with being in the lab that I could do something online. I'm like, there has to be something I could do at home from the internet. And so I was listening to podcasts, like Amy Porterfield and some other ones, blanking on some other ones. Perpetual Traffic, of course. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I could run Facebook ads for businesses. So I took a course, and I was first doing Facebook ads to landing pages for a small number of clients when I first started. Mm-hmm. And it was working well. But like, for example, I had one of my first paying clients was a junk hauler, a local junk hauler. And I was doing an offer through ads into a landing page. But then there were people that were messaging his page, right? Asking questions about it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's taking up so much time. I'm having to reply to all these people. Like, just look at the information you get on the voucher, right? Explain everything there. So when I found out about bots, and this was it was about this time, a couple of years ago in 2017, I was like, this is kind of cool. This automates stuff and messages. And I automatically thought about that junk hauler client of mine, and I was like, this could make it so much easier to actually converse with potential customers, but having it be automated. So that's when I started to kind of jump in and learning about ManyChat, and I looked at a couple different platforms, and ManyChat was just, even though I'm kind of techie and I'm into science and all that stuff, and I can learn things and pick up things pretty quick, ManyChat was a much easier platform for me to pick up on. So I just ran with that, and ended up getting I actually quit with the junk hauler client and went with, and got a restaurant client locally. And I was trying to explain to him what bots were. I didn't quite even know for sure what they were 100%, but it's kind of explaining it to him. And he's a Mexican restaurant owner, and so his first language is Spanish. So there's the difference in language as well as trying to explain what's going on. Yeah. And he somehow, with deer in the headlights look a little bit, agreed to what I was going to do. And it's funny because I was like, okay, I'll do this Facebook ads and a messenger bot for $500 a month. And he goes, that's too much. The most I've ever spent is $150 on a magazine article. I'm like, okay, how about $400? And he goes, how about $300 and free food? I'm like, Okay, that works.
Done. Yeah.
So that's what I started off with. And I'm actually, so that was going on a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And he's still paying me only $300 a month and free food. But the other benefit, he's one of the best clients ever. He just kind of like lets me do my thing and run. I asked him like, hey, how about this offer? Or let's try this or whatever. And he's like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. And he's not meddling and stuff. And so I love that about him.
Yes. Yes.
He focuses on his business and what he does, and he lets me be the one to bring him customers. So in November of 2017, I was like, well, let's try a birthday offer. And so it's for a free meal when they come in and buy another meal. And so that's been running since November 2017, and I have not turned it off or touched it. And it's still bringing in new subscribers for about 85 cents a piece. So it's going strong. I love it.
So don't you love those clients? I mean, I did the same thing with Allison Prince, right? The gal that I spoke at the Mini Chant conference about, and the whole thing that I did for her. She was the first person that I did that experiment on the webinar chatbot. Yeah. And she's not paying me what my other clients are paying me. Okay. I'll just say that. And everybody's like, well, why not? You made her $1 million. You should get a piece of that. I'm like, okay, look. She has given me so much more value in my business, in my life, in referrals, in all kinds than I could ever get from her in money. So exactly. I am absolutely fine staying where we are. Don't worry about it. We're good. Okay.
Exactly.
Because those are the best clients, right?
Yeah. And then I was able to take those results that I got from them and, post about them. And then it's got me more clients, right?
Yep.
So
that's it. And not only that, she's one of those clients, same as this guy for you. She's just like, Mary, if you want to do it, go. Yeah, I'm good. Try it. Do this, do that. I'm working on a quiz for her right now. And we're going to put together some stuff around videos and that quiz to nurture people to her webinar, and just, looking at different ways to market to people and get people what they need with different formats that we have available as everything changes. Yeah, it's amazing. But what made you decide you're in this job, everything's going fine? Maybe they start to think about layoffs, but before they thought about layoffs is when you started looking at other things. The main thing was you wanted to get back with your family and not have to be focused on weekends and all those things. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. And just dealing with having to go somewhere else when I'm like, I can just be home.
And so you landed on Facebook ads going, well, let me see if I can do that for people.
Yep. And it took me about 5 months to actually get my first client because I hated the idea of like cold calling client or potential businesses. I hated all this stuff with reaching out to businesses. I got freaked out, and I finally had to hit that realization. It's like, no one's going to bring me clients. I have to actually go out and put myself out there to get clients. And seriously, the first client is the most difficult to get in my experience. Well, and then also if you like lose a client, then you have to go and you haven't done it in a while and you have to go get another one. But first starting out, that is the worst. And then it starts to snowball, especially when you start to get those results, and you can use those results to back up not only your abilities, but your confidence. Because when I first started out, I'm like, with being a scientist, scientists are really, really bad with imposter syndrome, because for me, it's like, to be successful in the scientific field, you have to have letters after your name, right? Yes. PhD, MD, things like that. So if you don't have those letters, it's kind of hard to think of yourself as successful, right? You don't have a piece of paper to say, oh yeah, I'm successful, sort of thing. So for me, that was one of the biggest things of getting over with the imposter syndrome. Even still to this day, sometimes it creeps back in where I'm just like, no, I do know what I'm talking about. No, I have great abilities. So it's one of those things just in my head that I had to just get myself over and push myself through.
And I don't know about you, but that hasn't stopped for me yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still there. It's still, anytime someone says or is happy about what I've done or makes a comment, any client that like, wow, I can't believe you did that. I so appreciate you. Those kinds of things. I still sit back and go, you're talking to me?
Yeah, right.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay, great. It just like is a show. It's surprising every time because I still carry that with me. It gets less and less, definitely gets less and less, but it has not gone away.
Oh.
I don't know how it could.
Well, even with new industries and stuff like that, like I ended up talking to somebody about, because with me being visible in the Mani Chat group, I get a lot of people reaching out to me because they see I know what I'm talking about. And it's funny, people are like, oh, what niche are you in? I'm like, bots. No real industry. I mean, I know I could scale a lot faster if I said, oh, I'm just doing bots for this industry, but that's not the case. So I had someone reach out to me and they're in a totally different industry that I've never done before. And so when they're asking me for price, I did lower my price a little bit because of the fact that I'm like, I haven't done it in this industry before. So I'll lower my, because also that's the other thing. I would much rather under promise and over deliver than over promise and then like suck. So, and I figure, hey, I can use these results to then get more clients in that niche, for other locations and things. So in the end, it'll end up being a win-win. It'll help my confidence a little bit better and reduce any sort of anxiety that I have with, thinking, oh yeah, I'll charge you the same of what I've charged, orthodontists or dentists or gyms or whatever that I've got experience and really great results in. Right. So then that way, it'll all work out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to say that I stopped doing that at least a year ago, a little over a year ago. I stopped taking all kinds of clients without really understanding their business. I mean, diving in and being like their marketing manager.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, I dive in and I have them fill out a questionnaire and I go and have like a 2-hour intensive call and find out all about their entire business, not just what a bot can do.
Exactly.
And then I can take that and then I can impact their entire business. Because so many times when I was starting out, I would have a client come to me and let's say they're a school, like a private school. And I've got they say, we just want an awareness bot. We just want someone to be aware and maybe get them to our open house. And so I'm building that out and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Give them a price and give them all the stuff I'm going to do. And I build that out. And then I come to find out that they also have this other training facility over here that I didn't know about. Or this adult education thing over here that I didn't know about, and all these other pieces that really could affect the performance of the bot that I didn't know about, that they just asked me to build this little thing over here, and I just built this little thing over here. Right. And it's not as successful as if I knew all these other things that we could actually impact. So that's one of the first things I did a little over a year ago is totally specialize in something. And it works for me. It's something I really enjoy because then I can templatize it. I know it backward and forward. Everything I need to do for this, like webinars, it just is done. It's just done. It works. We take this template, we put it on there, we customize everything and run. And that's made me be able to relax a little bit more. And it has also helped with that confidence.
Right.
I know it, man. There is no way anybody could tell me anything that I don't know because we've had crazy success across the board with it.
And also you've learned from things that don't work. So you know not to do that.
That's right. That's right. It's so funny, Mackensie, when people come to me and they start trying to get me to change the structure of what we do. Like, oh, well, no, I really don't think we're going to do it that way. I know you said it works best that way, but I really want to do it this way. And basically I back off from that and just say, gosh, you can do that. And I go through my little spiel of, that would be great. However, you have that working in email and you came to me specifically asking for the results that I've been able to get through this other way. So why would you ask me to change it?
Right.
Sure, you can change it if you want, but I need to introduce you to someone else who can do that for you. That's not what I know that doesn't work well.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it gives you that. I've had people, it was so exciting when there's one guy came to me and said that, and he was like, well, I don't know. And he was starting to compare me to other people. Well, maybe I should go work with this other person. What's your difference? And all that baloney when you start getting that, oh, well, how are you better than so-and-so? I'm like, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I would definitely recommend you go ahead and talk to that person. If they are going to give you what you want, that's fantastic. If you want to consider us, and I would be very flattered if you did, this is how we would be different. This is why we're doing this. I already have 3 other clients in your exact industry already getting these results. So if you want to, trust us to be able to do that, it would be fantastic. And he's like, what? Who? I'm like, well, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. Okay, you tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what they say. It's so amazing. And that's the only confidence boost I need.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because I know it already and I already have track record. So more power to you. I bow to you. If you are able to do this in a lot of different industries, man, woman, you go.
Well, I am, the fact that I can now kind of pick and choose. If I have somebody who's brand new, like a startup, I'm like, nope,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
I'm not
no.
doing that. I'm not going to be your superhero marketer person because that will just be a fail. So I do have some limitations of saying, businesses have been around for at least 3 to 5 years. Other aspects of it too, if what size of marketing budget that they have. But for the most part, it's like trying to stay within local business lead generation aspect of things, some e-commerce if they fit a niche that really can utilize and make good use cases out of. But it's kind of nice though being able to be that part, because before it totally wasn't, where I was like with that junk collar client when I was doing just Facebook ads to landing pages. He started saying, he's like, well, maybe you can also do my QuickBooks and you can do this. And I'm like, wait, what? And then he's like, go and get, what was it? Some sort of business card flyer thing. And it was an idea that I came up with. He's like, yeah, can you go print it out? And then I stopped for a second, like, what am I doing? I'm wasting all this time on this one client who's paying me $400 a month to do Facebook ads. I'm like, what? Okay, no. I'm like, so I just started stepping back. I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. And then it finally, we ended up separating, splitting ways. It's like, sorry, that's not going to work out for me anymore. And since then, that's the other big thing is when you, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when you have a client that is a major time and energy suck and you get rid of them, it's like, oh my gosh, the weight is lifted off your shoulders. And you're like, why did I deal with that for so long? But it's like the frog in the blender. You don't realize, at first it's not that way. And then you give a little bit and then they take a little bit more and you give a little bit. And so I've also realized from that experience and other similar experiences, not as bad, but that scope creep is a bad thing. And so it's very, very imperative when you're starting out and when you're talking with a potential client that you lay out the parameters of how you are going to work and your job description, and make sure that they understand that and ask them if they have any other questions about that. I've had instances where people just want me to do their bot and not their Facebook ads. And I'm totally fine with that if they know what they're doing. And I tell them, I said, okay, I give them a choice. I'm like, you've got experience doing Facebook ads. Okay, so if you just want me to do the bot, it'll be this amount. But if you want me to do bots and ads, it'll be this amount. And they're like, okay. And then they end up coming to me and their Facebook ads aren't converting. They're not bringing any traffic into the bot. And then they start asking me questions about Facebook ads. I said, you're paying me for Facebook ads. Remember, if you want me to start doing the ads, remember, it'll be this amount extra. So it's an easy thing to then refer to because you have talked about it from the get-go when it wasn't awkward.
That's right. I completely agree. And that's unfortunately when and we've talked about confidence a bit in this conversation, but it really does come down to if you know your worth and you know what you can do, even if you don't have a lot of results to back you up yet. Let's say you're brand new and you're just as excited as we are about bots, and you're like, you just found it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And you're trying to get clients. And I'm a big believer in not doing things for free.
Yes.
That's just me.
No trials, nothing.
I just don't go there. Because, and I've tried it, believe me.
Yeah.
I was burned so bad. So no, don't do it. I caution you, please. If you hear anything in my voice, hear this. Do not do things for free. No. Because when there's something for free, there is no value.
Exactly.
Absolutely no value. And
especially with Facebook ads, with bots, you put in a lot of time to build out these big flows potentially. Yeah. And usually it's the people who either one, you're doing it for free, so they know they're getting it for free, so they ask for the world. Yep. And then they're just like, never mind. And you're like, wow, all that time I spent, well, I guess I could use it for a template for another potential client, but you have no results, right? Yeah. Usually, or they're very limited because, maybe they didn't put in, because once they put skin in the game with at least some amount of money, then they're going to try hard to make sure, depending on what type of client it is. But, if it's like an appointment-based client where it's like a dentist or a chiropractor or a real estate agent, that they'll actually put in the time and effort to actually call these leads because they're paying for them rather than just being handed to them on a silver platter.
That is so right. Yes. And I've even had some clients who were paying me decent money and they were just so busy with so many other things that I would do something that's time dependent. Like last year, a Mother's Day special,
Yeah.
right? So it's a Mother's Day special and I hooked this whole thing up and did all this stuff, and Mother's Day comes and goes and
Oh,
the thing is never used.
oh man.
And that is the most, even if they're paying me, that is the most frustrating thing, because I look at them and go, do you know what opportunity you just lost?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely lost, because
Yep.
you wanted me to do this thing and never used it.
Yeah,
And now you can't use it again because Mother's Day is not coming down for another year.
exactly.
So
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
yeah, it's so frustrating. So yeah, we didn't necessarily mean to have a session about agency ownership, but I'm really glad we are, because both of us are on the same page about it, right? I mean, it really is. It's an amazing opportunity we have, but
Yeah.
it's also, there are lots of pitfalls. And if you don't set those expectations up at the front, like you just said, you're going to be, it's going to be a difficult relationship. So
Yeah, exactly. And, for people that are listening, it's like, if you're starting, I think about this now, if I would have heard some of this talk, ahead of time about the agency stuff and the agency life and having a chatbot agency, I probably could have, not had so many, learning experiences, right?
That's
where I
right.
could learn from somebody else's learning experience.
That's it. And that's what this is about. That's why it's called My Chatbot Life, because that's what it is. We have learned so much. I mean, I started my first online business in 2003. And the landscape has changed beyond recognition.
Yeah.
And to get to where we are right now, that's, I think, why I was so excited about bots, because it's such an incredible opportunity to have a conversation with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like you're still having a lot of fun with chatbots.
Oh, yes.
Is that right? Isn't that a blast?
They're always fun because it's like the potential of what to do or what you can do with them is pretty much unlimited, and the sky's the limit, and it's limited to, your ideas and things you can come up with. So anything that is, really the ability to come up with fun. Maybe that's also why I like doing bots for a lot of different industries or learning new businesses and stuff, is because it's a challenge, because I can try something new where it's not just copy paste, sort of thing. Where it's, something new and exciting. I have to think about like, okay, this is, their problem. How can I use a bot to solve that? And, like I had a t-shirt printing company say, hey, I want to be able to do orders for a bot within Messenger, or orders through Messenger in a bot, and giving me all these different things that he needs to do with it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, user inputs and using Zapier and all this stuff. And so it's just really exciting for me to problem solve and come up with a solution for their biggest problem.
Yeah. And that's in science. I mean, I know my degree was in science too. And it's the way our brains think, right? We're trying to solve a problem. We're trying to see something that we know exists and extrapolate it onto something that we don't know yet.
Exactly.
Or that we're presented with. And we're going, okay, well, it relates to this and relates to this. Yeah, I think, I can make that happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. Yes. And it's keeping this old brain active. That's
right.
awesome.
No, that's a good thing. Yeah. It's not monotonous.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I could not sit behind a desk and just do the same thing every day.
No.
But even though we're having fun, I know we're talking right now. This probably won't be published for maybe about a month or so, but we're talking right now, right after F8.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so amazing to be there and to jump on and start talking about some of the changes that were happening and broadcasts going away and and the different tags and subscription messaging and all of that kind of thing. Can you update us a little bit on what you know now after F8 and what you think, just predictions, what you think is coming down the pike?
Yeah. So it's funny. When I went to F8, I have people ask me all the time, and I have the questions too, but these similar questions like, what is a promotional message? What is, all these different things regarding, like pixels inside of Messenger. And it's just these questions that not only that other people have, but that I'm having. I'm like, what are these answers? So I'm like, well, going to the source, F8 is that, right? I've tried to ask with, Facebook ad support, but those are just support people, F8 are developers and stuff. So I ended up going to the Messenger developer meetup or whatever, right? Even though I'm not a developer, I'm like, well, there's going to be people there that know what they're talking about. So I was there, and I was actually just chatting with some other two other guys who are part of a kind of an agency that they do e-com type of advertising. And then this other guy walks up, and I started chatting with him. I'm like, hey, I'm outgoing. I'm like, who are you? What do you do? He goes, oh, I work for Facebook. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to ask you all these questions. So I spoke to him it was over an hour. Like, I had some other sessions I was going to go to, and I totally missed it. But I was so enthralled talking to him and getting these answers. So I was asking him, what is promotional? And, he couldn't really tell me. They don't know either. But he dropped the bomb on me saying, oh, the broadcast API is going to be disabled. I'm like, wait, what? And so I asked him, to be a little bit more.
Yeah, clarify that, please.
Yeah, clarify, give me some more specific examples. And so his big thing was saying that Messenger is wanting to go more from the idea of one-to-many to one-to-one. And so when he said getting rid of the broadcast API, that's reducing that to try and do the more one-to-one. I was like, okay. So I gave him some use case examples, real life examples of like, okay, what about this? What about this? And so he pretty much, with stating that, was saying, well, with standard messaging, which is non-subscription messaging, because subscription messaging is the non-promotional 100% of the time. Like, if you send a subscription message broadcast currently in ManyChat, that's supposed to be non-promotional, right? So that on the back end in the developer world, that broadcast has that subscription messaging tag attached to it. So he's saying, that is saved for news, productivity, personal trackers, which I knew. I've known this back and forth because if you remember correctly, we went through this in the fall of 2018 of this whole thing, and everybody running around
trying to get more of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is oh, we only have 17 tags. Can you get more? Yeah. Which I brought that up too, because I last round of when they were going to implement these tags, we did this big push of these common tags that we all kind of came up with, right? To try and have a concerted effort to say, get us these tags. We just need these extra ones. We don't have all these other ones. We just have these ones. Please add these ones. And I'm sure you've seen there aren't any new ones. So I asked him about that. I said, well, what about all these other tags? You have a thing on your website saying request or have an idea for a new tag, request it here. So he said, well, we'd probably be more likely to take tags away than add more. I'm like, really? Come on, man. I'm like, do you want businesses to actually use this platform? So he mentioned that, and we talked more about the standard messaging with 24+1. And so when he said that broadcasting API went away, then he was saying instead we'd have sponsored messages. I'm like, okay, so I was like, no broadcasting API, but we have sponsored messages. Well, so he was like, yeah, inside of the ManyChat dashboard or however that's set up, being able to have that option. I'm like, well, that's good, because right now, if you try and use Facebook ads dashboard to create sponsored messages, you can't determine who your audience is. If you just send it out to everybody, it'll even send it out to people who have unsubscribed from your bot, right? So you don't want to do that. But having that ability within ManyChat to then send it to certain people who have a specific tag or who subscribed after a certain day or whatever makes it so much better. But the issue with sponsored messages is they are an ad. They have to go through the approval process, and they don't get sent out right away like we're used to with broadcasts. So since F8, I had, come out and said with the video that, broadcasting API is going away. And about the subscription messaging, I said, people were saying, oh, we need to apply for that. I'm like, hold off, because there's no way to undo that. Mm-hmm. Wait, and there's also not a limited amount of subscription messaging approvals available, right? So you don't need to all go rush out and try and get it.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So I said, wait, hold off until we find out more. So I contacted another Facebook representative who I've been in contact with, who's in the Messenger department, and who I connected through or got connected to by ManyChat. And so I sent him an email, and I said, hey, gave him the same scenario. I'm like, subscription messaging page sends out a subscription message. If a user replies to that, does that open up standard messaging with the 24+1 rule? Or does that mean, or do they have to 100% send non-promotional messages all the time? Because also in the Facebook documentation, it states that that you agree that the bot will only send non-promotional content at all times. And so there's so much contradictory information. But from what he said, he's like, yeah, just non-promotional. I'm like, okay, so I've got the F8 guy, I've got one part of the Facebook developer documentation, and I have this email. I have 3 sources that seem pretty legit to tell me that that is the case. But there's people in the community who are telling and saying otherwise, like, no, that's not the case. So I'm just going off of what I've heard from legit people and hearing it from other, maybe other people have other sources, but 2 sources telling me that. I'm like, okay, that sounds like, when you're backing up your ideas with facts, especially being a scientist,
Yep.
you
have to
go off of hearsay.
Yeah.
So, so then I spoke with Mike Yang, who's, CEO of ManyChat, and he spoke with like the highest person available in Facebook with this, that, they have connections to, right?
Right.
And so he verified that subscription messaging, yes, you would need to apply for it if you can send messages that are news, productivity, and personal trackers. But when somebody receives one of those messages and they interact and engage, then yes, you can then send a promotional message as +1. I was like, okay, so we are doing all this for nothing in terms of this is what we have always been doing, or what I've been teaching and telling everybody, right?
No different. Yes.
No different. Promotional message to get a non-promotional, or a non-promotional message to get a promotional message. That's what we've been doing.
Right.
So,
and that's supposed to change. What you heard is, that's not supposed to change. What you heard is from here forward, even when they take away broadcasting, that's still going to be the same.
Correct. And broadcasting, those who have subscription messaging approval at the page level will have broadcasting ability still.
Yeah.
So I'm now telling everybody,
apply.
Try and get your page approved, because there's no downside to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You can send promotional messages after the fact.
Yep.
Now with the standard message, so like some pages, people are having a hard time getting it. It's understandable, right? You can't just say, oh, I want it, and you get approved. You have to prove that you are subscription messaging capable.
Yep.
So for those who have standard messaging, there's a 24+1 rule. And then there's 17 non-promotional tags that you can attach, which ManyChat's adding by the end of June, that you can attach to your messages through broadcast. So then here's the other thing. So I asked them, like, okay, great. So good to know about the subscription messaging and, adding those tags. I'm like, what about sequences? What if you have a 5-day sequence that you want to send out and someone interacts with the first one, but not the second day or the third day? How do we send the 4th day? So he says sequences aren't covered by this quite yet. So this is where Facebook, they're flying by the seat of their pants. They don't even know what they're really doing. Yeah. They kind of know what they want to do, but they haven't thought it out completely. So sequences are okay. You don't have to worry about adding tags to sequences or anything like that. It's just
or the 24+1 rule.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 24+1. Oh, and then the other thing about the 24+1, I asked another Facebook employee about what's promotional and, with 24+1, because really, I just want answers. I just want to say, yes, this is promotional. No, this is not.
Right.
This might be gray area, but this for sure is promotional. And so I cannot get a straight answer from anybody.
No.
But what he told me was value trumps promotion in terms of, which I was like, really? In terms of it being valuable to the end user, if it's valuable, but it's promotional, that's not as big of a deal. Like, they care more about it being valuable to their end user.
Right.
So of course, if you start getting a bunch of blocks on your page from messages, that's a red flag to Facebook. They're going to start checking things out. Right. So as long as it's valuable and people are liking it, he said that's better than promotional.
Yeah. Well,
I'm kind of afraid, though. I don't want to just start saying promotional messages thinking they're valuable, because with clients, I don't want to get their page blocked, because that's happened before. Not necessarily from my broadcast or anything being sent out, but they're getting warnings. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think that was promotional. Okay, I'm going to make sure I really step it back. So definitely value trumps promotion, but also try and make it so that it's not overly promotional initially.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. I mean, if you come from that place, no matter what,
Yeah.
And let's say I'm doing webinar follow-ups, right? And I'm not just going to spam people and go, buy now, don't forget, buy now, the deadline's coming up, it's going to close, buy now, buy now. That's not all we send.
Yeah.
And here's testimonials. Here's how this person's changed their life. Here is what you can do. Here's another PDF that we offer you that shows the value of what we're going to give you in the course. So it's not just all promotion. It's definitely giving that value. But I'll tell you, there's lots of ways you can get shut down. I have that one page that right now we've got 1.8 million subscribers.
Oh my gosh.
In the bot, 1.8 million subscribers. And when we were around 1 million, we got shut down. Facebook
my
said,
God.
that's it. You're not able to send any more messages. And I'm like, what is happening? And this is, I knew nothing about blocked messages before this.
Yeah.
And this was like the middle of, toward the end of last year, September or so of 2018. And it's because of the blocked messages. And unfortunately, we had a message with that many people. We had a message that was sent, and there are people all over the world. They're about 60% United States, and then the other 40% are other countries, non-English speaking. And so we sent a message, and we didn't segment it to US. And so it was a message, a US-based message that went out to everybody. So we had, I think it was like 1% blocked. No, I'm sorry. It was 10%.
Okay, I was going to say 1% is not that bad. Oh,
1% is not bad. It was 10% blocked messages. And for 1 million subscribers, that's a lot of people. Okay, but it's still 10%. And we must have gotten up close to that threshold before, but this was the first time we actually got up to 10% within that time frame that's on your page, like a week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they shut us down.
Oh my God.
I had to apply and I had to go, and I'm like, oh my flippin' God, there's 1 million people in this bot that I just helped this client get to. We got to 1 million when I took it over in January of 2017. It was like 20,000. And,
oh wow.
And we got to 1 million pretty fast.
Wow.
But it's a very popular subject. I'll just say that.
Yes.
But anyway, so this was luckily when I appealed and said, we weren't sent, they sent it on promotional messages, right? They blocked us for that. And I'm like, and I showed them the message. It was a news article. This site definitely applies to subscription messaging.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of doing that, trying to get
that.
But it was, I proved it's not promotion. We were not promoting anything. It was just sent to the wrong segment of people.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh. So luckily it's back, but we are, oh my gosh, if this client goes into this bot and touches anything, I am all over them because I'm like, no, don't. I know, because we can't even send, okay, this is how, with a large bot like that, Mackensie, when we try and send a message to send out a news broadcast, you can't send it all at once.
No.
I cannot say, send this out and then just wait for ManyChat to send it. You can't do that. It won't. It'll stop. It'll get a glitch and it will not send messages. So we have to break it up based on the first letter of the last name.
Oh, there you go.
We have to send all A's and then 10 minutes later go B's and 10 minutes later, we have to stack it up. So I've figured out that you can't send more than like 80,000. If we get close to 100,000 messages in that block, we're too many. We have to break it up again.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, because it's too much, and ManyChat can't handle it. It doesn't, or Facebook can't handle it. I don't know which one.
One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two can't handle it, and it basically just it just won't send. It looks like it's sending, and it's just like perpetually trying to send, and it never does.
Oh, that's annoying.
So it's crazy. So every week we send out this message. So every week, Tuesday and Wednesday are taken up with message sending. We cannot do anything else on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in this bot because it takes that long.
That's
for us to send out all the messages now that we're up to 1.8.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Crazy. It's crazy. When we break 2, we've been hovering, now they just changed and had that whole big unsubscribe thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we've been hovering around at 1.8 for probably about 2 to 3 months now. And we're starting to climb back up. It dropped down to 1.7, 1.75, and we've been kind of hovering. And now we're starting to climb back up over 1.8 now again. So I'm like, come on, I want to get to that 2.
Yeah, right?
It's going to be so fun.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. So let me talk about though, because when I started managing that bot, it was like, holy moly, I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. And I had to really overcome a lot of mindset issues with that. I had to.
I
Really
have anxiety every time I send a broadcast to any that's more than like 1,000 people.
I know. How many times do you check it?
Oh my
Right?
God, so many. So, and my like hack or my tip or whatever with broadcast is I have the initial broadcast and then the buttons, and then all the buttons will go to another flow. So it's not in the broadcast.
Yes.
Because one time I set up a webinar sign up broadcast, and it sent at like 5 a.m. my time, and it was going and asking for their email, right? And so I had it set to send and asking for their email to within the bot to end up registering for the webinar. Well, what happened, I think ManyChat's made this change since then, but what happened was I forgot to send or set the user input to save the email. And so then after the email, after they put their email in, it would go to a condition that would look to see if there was an email or not. So when it wasn't being saved, it would then go and say, hey, looks like we didn't get your email. So nobody was going through. And because it was all within the broadcast message and I could not edit it, I had to go through and manually add the email to everybody's custom field.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then say yes, and then manually send and say, yes, sorry, you've been registered. It was a disaster. So I have never forgotten to do that since. So that's why I'm assuming ManyChat's fixed that, but I have never tried that without it again. But also I've made sure that I put it into another flow. So then that way, if I have to edit it, especially if it's a time-based thing, I can then go in and edit it after it's been sent.
Yes, yes. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I do the same thing. I sweat anytime I have to send. I mean, I'm checking and rechecking because I've made stupid mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, so many stupid mistakes, sending to the wrong list. Instead of saying the tag is this, I've said or instead of saying the tag isn't this, I've said the tag is this. And so instead of sending it to people who haven't purchased yet, I sent it only to the people who purchased.
Right.
Oh, come on, right? I mean, cheapers. So yeah, a lot of those mindset issues, and we have ways that we have become more comfortable with it. But what's the biggest mindset issue in relation to your business that you have had to overcome, and how did you do it?
I think for me, with my business in general, is being anxious that I'm not doing enough, right? And I think one big thing that has helped me overcome that, of also knowing, okay, what do I need to do now, is board for my own sanity, right? That I keep track, because when you work with multiple clients and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I need to be doing something here? What do I need to do? A lot of times you're waiting for something from a client, right? That they need to give you more information or some content or something for the next promotion. And so being able to have that in a better, just a laid out way, makes it a lot easier to also do like first in, first out, and also making sure that no one's being put on the back burner for so long. And then you just remember afterwards, like, oops, I was supposed to do this, right? So I think with me, with the mindset of being anxious and am I doing enough, that really has helped to give me clarity and sanity. And then also being able to provide information I need ahead of time, saying, hey, I need this information to do X, Y, Z. So I don't have to keep going back and forth, because that back and forth is just a killer, and it wastes so much time.
Oh my gosh. Yes, definitely. Wow. Yes, I agree 100%. Being as organized and strategic and having as much documentation and flow and project management kind of tools will alleviate most of that stuff, as long as you put it in there.
Exactly. And that's the other thing is for my sanity too, trying to keep everything in one spot, like having all my clients email me. So then that way I also have a written record, because seriously, some of them want to get on calls. I'm like, okay, that's great. But then I realize, I'm like, what did we talk about? Like, I could record it, but then I'd have to waste time watching or listening to the call. So if I do have clients that make a big request to be on the call with me, I make sure I am typing up notes as we go. I'm typing everything, so that way I don't miss anything.
Definitely. I agree. I hear you. All right. So Mackensie, you've got kids, you've got a family. Let's just imagine later in your life, your kids are grown. You might even have grandkids. You're getting toward, later in your life. It's a long time away because you're a young gal. So late in life, you're looking back and someone's going to write your memoirs. They're going to write your autobiography. What is the title of that book?
I think looking back with everything that I've done and just the type of person that I am, it would be a pretty simple title of 3 words: don't give up. Because that's really, with that junk caller client, he was actually a horrible client too, just inappropriate, texting me, saying he loved me. It was just horrible stuff, right? So the first client that I had with that experience, if I would have given up, I wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah. And you have to just keep going. And as long as you are taking steps daily to get you towards your goal and not giving up, then you will get to where ultimately at some point you will get to where you want to be.
Right. Yes. And who would write that book for you?
Oh, I think it would be multiple authors. I think my kids, obviously, from their point of view, but then also, I think I have a small group of marketer friends that I have a mastermind with that we've been talking for almost 2 years, and none of them are in chatbots. They're all into, Facebook ads or affiliates or e-commerce or whatever, but we talk every day. So I think they would have a great insight as well, besides my family, on to, how things have been and my mindset and things that I have overcome, right? That roadblocks I've hit and then things I've overcome to improve for the next round.
Yes, absolutely. I know who would write mine too, and I'm just going to leave that. I think she knows who she is. But yeah, masterminds are amazing. Really, yeah. They help us do so many things. If people listening, please, you are all our bot buddies out there. If you're not in a mastermind of like-minded people that are around your same level, maybe even a little bit above you, maybe there's a few people a little bit below you, but you're around the same level, not the Gary V's of the world.
Right.
Don't be searching out those people.
No.
They're not going to be able to help you at all.
No.
So get in a mastermind and meet with them regularly and talk about the difficulties, because believe me, they're all having the same difficulties and they might have some answers that you don't.
Exactly. And mine is like 5 people. And most of the time we just talk about just random stuff that's not even related to entrepreneurship, but it's because, you're sitting at home all day and it can be kind of lonely. And it's really good to have that. But then also, like you were saying, having people similar or even a little bit further along in their journey than you are, because seriously, that made a huge difference when I'd see other people in my my friends, my mastermind group saying, oh, I just did this, or I just landed this client, or we just hit this milestone. I'm just like, dude, I am playing super small. I need to up my game. And, I'm slightly competitive with myself. So I'm like, I need to do this. So that really helps to get me out of my comfort zone to say, okay, if they can do it, then I can do it.
Definitely. Okay. Last question about this book. And I think you've already answered it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When this person is writing, or these people are writing your book, Don't Give Up, and they look back and they go, okay, what is a quote that we can put in this book that represents how Mackensie lived her life?
Yeah.
What would that quote be?
I think really it would be, and it's actually the title of another book, but it's also the basis of a process of stoicism called The Obstacle is the Way. I think that would be the quote that would sum up, because really going through the obstacles will get you to that next point in your life and in your journey that you'll be better. So if you try and skirt around the obstacle, you're not going to be any better. You're going to just be the same, and you just won't be improving. So knowing and seeing the obstacles and having that mindset of saying, okay, I need to get through this, and on the other side, I will be better. I will have learned from it and can improve for the next time around.
If we would have tried to skirt around obstacles, we would not have mapped the human genome yet.
Exactly.
And you were in that world. So you know what that's like. I mean, that
world moves. It might be amazing to think about, but that world moves faster than technology in terms of digital marketing. Yes. And if people just skirt around, it wouldn't be up to the speed of where it is now.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I love that. Thank you so much for spending this time. I know we could talk forever, and we've already talked way more than I planned, but it was so fun. Yeah. I so appreciate you spending this time with me, and I can't wait for the next chat.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the My Chatbot Life podcast. To watch this video chat, visit mychatbotlife.com and get all the rocket boosters you need for your own chatbot success.